I'm gonna show you how to create the longest lasting flower arrangement. Hi guys, what's up? I'm Audra Lambie, and I'm here with the Desire Company. After following along with me, you'll be able to create a beautiful arrangement with some simple stems that you can get at your local grocery store. For today's class, the products that you're gonna need to use are a vase, we have roses and mums, and then of course the green filler, and that's gonna really keep your texture. An option for a shear, so it could be scissors or pruners, and the rose dethorner. So grocery store flowers are actually great finds. They are good quality. They just won't have the assortment that you find at wholesalers or from an actual florist. But you can still take those basic flowers and really elevate them because there is a wide variety, and you'll still be able to create the textures that you're looking for and really create a great arrangement. As I'd mentioned earlier when we talked about the grocery store flowers and going in with a vision, my vision was neutral, because then we can at the end talk about how to elevate this or cater it to a certain event. I stuck with a neutral color palette of whites and really like off-whites and greens. Now, what you'll notice here is that I did different colored greens though, and this is gonna help create depth and then also different textures. And then we have the dusty, which is a lighter, it really will tie in the whites into the different greens. So the darker green, which is more of like a bushy wildflower. And then we have the two whites. We have the classic rose, and then we have a mum. A mum is a great option because they come in a wide variety of colors, and they're a very hardy flower. It'll always be in stock at most grocery stores. So let's jump into cleaning the stems, and then we'll get into the arrangement. They're all rubber banded together as a bundle, so I just cut that and cut the plastic. Now, a great tip for the plastic is to keep it, once you cut it, straight on the table or wherever you are arranging, just because it can be a catch-all for all the cleaning that we're about to do with the stems. So roses, as beautiful as we know they do have thorns. So previously I talked about the dethorner tool. It is not necessary. However, I do find it to be a good investment if you love having florals in your house. The easiest part of this is that we actually just take this little end up here to the base of the bud, and we just go ahead and pull down. So when you use the dethorner tool and you put it up at the base, it might get stuck on some of these pesky leaves, so you just need to kind of forcefully pull down, and then it'll come right off. For the other bud that we have, we talked about the mum. It's a really hardy flower, and it's great for arrangements and really having different color options. So with these, you don't need to use the dethorner, but you can just use your fingers and go ahead and pull down, and it cleans it right up. Now, why you don't want these leaves on these blooms is because with the water, it creates bacteria, and we want to create the longest life. Now that we've cleaned off the actual roses and mums, and we took off all the leaves because we want to keep the flowers lasting as long as possible, we have kept the plastic down, and we have collected all of the leaves that we actually don't need at this moment, and we can actually compost it. Now that we've cleaned all the stems, we're gonna jump into arranging. So I'm gonna start with arranging with the vase option. Again, great for a table that you're not gonna be sitting at, a kitchen table, a console table, anything of that nature. And I already filled it with some water, so we're ready to jump in. Now there's two ways to arrange. You can use your hands and kind of create, or you can arrange in the vase itself. When we start to arrange, the first thing is to grab a green. Now I'm choosing the actual leafy green because it's a good base, it's hardy, it'll get us started to then start building with the florals. You want to choose a focal flower and a focal point for the vase. So when you start arranging, kind of build off that. Odds will be your friend. So always remember, odds cluster. It can be 1, it could be 3. You can do 2, don't worry, but it just creates a little bit of a better look. So for the first blue, I'm gonna choose a rose, and we're gonna start building with that. And as I mentioned, we're gonna build in 3s. So we're gonna take those 2, and then a 3rd. and we can start holding it together and kind of seeing, okay, you can step back, look at it. Now we want to create a little more dimension because she's looking cute, but not quite there. So we're gonna take more of the textured greens. It's more of like a wildflower filler. And we're gonna put her right here on this side so we can start building out. And let's grab them up. So I'm gonna do, as I said, odds. We're gonna do now one of the mums, and we're gonna keep building from there. So we'll grab another green and another green. And we'll take some more of the roses. Now notice how I'm going down because I'm creating more of a dimensional look. You don't want it all to be the same flat level because it will become like a bouquet. And we're not walking down the aisle, we're creating a vase. So it's nice to have some height and some dimension. So we'll continue to build. We're gonna do a mum for the third because we're getting wild, and see how now she's become the focal point for when we put her in. I'm gonna continue on. I am gonna throw in a little of this dusty to create a little more texture, just to finalize a little bit of a different look, because we have a lot of greens and a lot of whites, but this will create a more muted look. Now that we are feeling good on what we've built on, again, we started with our base with the dark leafy and started building out from there. We went to our buds, our actual florals, and then we created a little bit more of the depth of the different textures with the filler. I arranged this in the hand, but now she's ready to go into the base, and then we can give her some final touches. She's looking great, but we wanted to create height. And where this really matters is when we cut our florals into our vase. Because if we just put her in right now, do we see how this would create a bunch of dead space? We want her to feel that she's really living right outside this vase and there's no dead space. We're gonna need the shears or scissors, whatever you have available at home. Couple things to note here is when we do make the cut, we don't cut them flat. We actually need to cut it at a 45-degree angle. When we cut it at a 45-degree, it opens up the space allotted for the water to actually come through, and this will help, again, preserve the life and longevity of your stems. Always err on the side of too long, and you can always cut a little bit more down. Now we've cut all the stems at the 45 degrees, and we're gonna throw her on into the vase. And then you can really pull out. So this is when you take the final step back, and you really wanna create a little bit more flow and more life. Now, what I wanna do is, we had talked about creating that focal flower and really where your eye is drawn. So currently, they're kind of all sitting up here. So I wanna take this one bud, pull her out. I'm gonna cut her down a little bit so she becomes the focal point. And now, where's your eye going to? It's going here instead of all at the same level. So now that we've created this look, remember, she's neutral. She's an easy base that you've already nailed. Now you can take this to the next level. Think of your next event that's maybe a patriotic event. Maybe it's a spring. Think pastels. You could throw a ribbon or a mini flag. You know, maybe it's a Hanukkah or Christmas theme. Think of those colors that really remind you of those events and play off of that for your next arrangement.
Are you looking for more product advice and wisdom from me?
Or me?
Or me?
Hit that subscribe button or head over to thedesirecompany.com for more classes, how-tos, and reviews.